She helped someone get hired at Google. And then she was able to take somebody from like 232,000 to 432.
First of all, it was strategy.
Hello, good people. I hope that you are doing amazing. I have a special guest. Yay! We have Michelle Lenore. She is one of my resume writers, and we collaborate on a lot of different projects. Michelle has, helped so many people. She really focuses on the C-suite, executive level, and even hiring for state government, right? So I also want to point out that one of her, best testimonials is she helped someone get hired at Google. And then she was able to take somebody from like 232,000 to 432 or 400 around that range. So we're going to dive into today. How can you get a job over 40? Or how can you get a job and you know that you're seasoned and you're like, yo, I can't start over. I don't have the time. The bills is piling up. So, Michelle, before we get started, do you want to tell the people anything about you?
Yeah, so first of all, thank you so much for allowing me to be here. I'm super excited to help your audience really know that uh, despite what corporate America is saying, and I believe they're changing their mind, that they need you. It's like you don't get discarded. For my women after age 35, we become fine wine. And so they need fine wine, just like us, to help their businesses to be successful.
Yeah, I definitely agree. There is, some type of thought out there. Oh, if you're older, you're no longer needed. But that's quite the opposite. Especially a lot of these tech companies for the human resource department, for project management, they need seasoned people in there to solve the problems and then also work with new people coming in. So you're definitely needed. And this is your encouragement. You'll get a job. So let's get into it. Michelle. Talk to me about what you've been seeing in the job market. You have over what, 15,000 followers on LinkedIn?
Over 20,000.
20,000 on LinkedIn? Oh, wow.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So one of the things that I have been seeing is that, first of all, once you hit over 40, again, don't believe what social media is saying unless it's the positive stuff. You have seen history. You've seen things that happen that you can help a startup company all the way to a Fortune 500, Fortune 100 business, billion-dollar company, trillion-dollar company. They need what you have. But if you're applying for a position, they need to see all that sunshine goodness that you have inside of you and your personality. So again, you don't go in as, so the first thing I want you, whatever pops up in your head, it's like when you hear the word, oh, they're an old head. What do you see? Pops up in my head. I see this gray haired man who's like shuffling as he's walking. You know, you guys are not old heads. You guys are innovative, you are creative, and you can bring forth so much, but that has to be seen again with your personality. That has to be seen on your LinkedIn. That has to be seen within the resume. Like Cam says, this is what we do. This is a part of what I do, helping the C suites, just bringing that energy to life.
No, I definitely agree. I would say there is a lot of on social media, especially LinkedIn, just their truth. It was one story about a guy, he was a senior recruiter and he just interviewed for a job at Costco's, like $18.48. And he turned that job down because he had to do something with his kid. And he was like, I'm not choosing this job over my kid. He was like, he's desperate, but he's not dumb. So in this job market, um, there are a lot of people who are saying, listen, I have these skills. What can I do with them? So, Michelle, let's talk about the different jobs that people over 40 can apply for. And when I say over 40, you could be 30 or 35 and this applies to you. But specifically for my more seasoned candidates, this is for you. So, what jobs can they go for?
Yeah, one of the things is project management and or program management because we've seen so much. Again, within corporate America, a lot of us, we volunteer at church. So we use our skill sets at church. We use them at community centers. Again, what is the uh, the common factor that you can take a look at. Some folks, it's so funny that one guy I knew, he always did technology, but he did it more so volunteering, but not in his regular job. So he didn't integrate that. But through conversation, we integrated that because he was like, well, I wasn't getting paid for it. And I'm like, it doesn't matter you're not getting paid for it. Somebody is actually getting paid off of what you are doing. So if you are volunteering at church and you're part of marketing, marketing is really great. You're part of the leadership team at church and you guys are brainstorming, coming up with branding and marketing ideas. You are a part of that. That helps to bring members into the church. Members in the church, guess what? They go ahead and they give money to the church to keep the church going. So the church is, quote unquote, if we're looking at the church as a business, which it is, that they are, it's money that is coming to the church, and some of it, goes into capital that actually makes money so they can continue to grow their programs. So what you're doing, I want you to think about everything that you're doing. Gardening, that's a huge deal. A personal assistant. Some folks love to help the elderly community. And so there's so many opportunities that this is a way to utilize all your skill, but really what you love doing. And like you said, the one guy who says, you know what, I can't work at Costco's. I got to spend time with my son. He understands that balance.
Balance is key. And I also want to tell people if you're in between jobs or if you're looking for something stable, you've been doing freelance for a while, I want you to apply for local government jobs. And we're going to do a separate video on that, on why you should look or why you should work for local government, because each year they have a budget. So most of the time, when people get laid off, the money's either dried up, or let's just say it's at a tech startup. The app could go bad, their investor could pull out, and then they have to fire all of these people just to make ends meet. But when you work for the government, let's just say they already have it allocated for the project manager to get paid between 63 to 93,000, just depending upon your experience. So that way you keep a job for at least a year. Okay. So some different roles are, website manager, like Michelle said, program manager, administrative assistant, data entry. Now it's something else because, they're trying to integrate AI a little bit to make things go faster. I mean, court administrative clerk. There are so many things you can do. And again, you don't have to stay at these jobs 5, 6 years, but I believe in stability. Amen.
Mhm.
Michelle.
Yes, yes.
I believe in stability. So I do think that if you notice yourself about to be laid off, you're like, man, what's next? Apply for a job at your local government. Another thing I want to talk about, how can people over 40 stand out on LinkedIn? Because if you're not active on social media, if you don't know how to use it, that's how recruiters are finding people.
Yeah, like you said, like I have over 20,000 followers on LinkedIn. And the important thing is content. Again, we're going back to whatever you're expert in. If you're not active on any other social media platform, LinkedIn is the place to be when you want to do business. So there's always somebody who's going to have to, again, have landscaping done. There's always birthday parties. So if you like to cook, if you know you're a baker, but you have a specialty, then you can begin to look at different opportunities from like different event planners, what they're doing, connect with different event planners. Even if you come along, sometimes they let you shadow to see what's happening. Like, okay, sometimes you have to do a little bit of freebie type work before you get in as something full time. That's okay, but make sure it's something that you love because we know that if we don't like something, I know for me, it'll show on my face. It'll show on my face. So, um, and then if you're looking for something else that you love to do, if you are volunteering, then ask where you're volunteering. Can this be turned into a part-time job or maybe a full-time job? And sometimes, and I know that has happened before. There's opportunities that are out there. So we really need to ask and we need to be like great advocates for ourselves If it's not out there, then look for it. Begin to connect with recruiters on LinkedIn. I'm just letting them know, but be prepared. Be prepared with your updated resume. Make sure your LinkedIn, when you begin to reach out to people, that it actually stands out. Because if it doesn't stand out, you're like, oh yeah, I need this job first, and I'm still going to reach out to the recruiter. And the recruiters, they get pinged all day long on LinkedIn, all day long. And Cam even knows this. And if they go to your LinkedIn and your LinkedIn is looking dull, it doesn't have the banner like it's supposed to have. It doesn't have an updated picture of yourself. One of the things that I tell my people over 40, we're all getting older. Our hair is turning gray. My thing is, if you're gray, rock the gray out, but make sure it's nice and neat. If you're not gray, go ahead and use Miss Clairol. She's our friend, guys. So go ahead and do that and have that nice professional picture up there where it looks fresh and you have like that great energy really shining through.
Yeah, how to really stand out on LinkedIn, that's another video in itself because it's not like Instagram or Facebook. And people always talk about like what content do I post to get a recruiter's attention? Well, you always don't want to put, I'm looking for work, I'm looking for work. Switch it up. Talk about the projects that you've done. Michelle has done an excellent job at that. That's why she got, over 20,000 people following her. She is a LinkedIn influencer. And I think one of Atlanta's top LinkedIn voices, correct?
Mm-hmm.
hmm
Yes.
So, look at her page. Also, you want to give out tips, give some updates. There are some people who were once senior recruiters and or program managers, and now, they're doing DoorDash and Uber. It's only temporary.
Yep.
The I think the top three things you can say for you getting a job over 40, because I've helped people do this as well, is change up your resume. That's number one. You are also going to have to be specific in what kind of job you want. If you are a project manager making 200,000, and we're going to talk about this, Michelle, and the market is no longer saying they want to pay you that, can you get it? Yes. But in your area, if you keep getting denied for it, or you only see the ranges go up to 150 or 125, you need to have that discussion with yourself and say, do I need to just take this job for 125 and then do something else afterwards? Okay. And then, so be able to pivot. And then number three is get on LinkedIn at least 2 times a week. Michelle, I want to talk about salary because that's big. How do you navigate being over 40 and possibly taking a decrease in salary?
No, you are like, you read my mind, right? So this is huge for us over 40, right? So you're making 200,000, a quarter of a million. The great thing about so many startups and so many opportunities that some of these companies, they offer equity within the business and they offer stocks. So look at the whole package. So if it's a startup and the startup is saying, okay, we can only offer you 125,000, ask them, especially if you're interested, say, okay, and most of them do. I would say on LinkedIn they do, and then even on some of the job boards, they have it. They have like, we'll give you this much stock. You'll have bonuses for this, this, that, and the other. Look at everything, even look at the medical, so some people they're on, they're taking different medications. They have to do certain things. Guess what? If your benefits is 100% paid, I know all businesses aren't like that. That helps to cut your expenses, so it's not always that, boom, I'm going to give you that quarter of $1 million salary. Look at all of the benefits. Look at the whole compensation, because before you know it, because of what you're bringing to that company, you can easily get promoted, and you want to make sure that there's room to grow. So again, if it's a startup, there's always room to grow. But sometimes in like the Fortune 500 companies, they'll let you know like, oh man, you know what? We haven't expanded this department for the last 5 years. That's like an indication like, wait a minute, is this where I want to be? And the other thing is make an exit plan. right? So if it's not the salary you want, but you got to get those bills paid and you know you can contribute to that organization, make an exit plan and say, okay, within 2 years, if there's not any opportunity within the department or within the organization as a whole, then I need to begin to make my exit plan before that 2 years is up to go somewhere else. That's okay. That's you are the business, right? This is your strategy. You're acting just like the business. So act like the business, make that exit plan, make that business plan for your professional life.
Yeah, I definitely like that. Make an exit plan. And then also, don't be afraid to ask for more money. Uh, $5,000 to $7,000. Some paychecks, for some regions, it can go a long way. So I do encourage everyone here, if you are over 40, 30, 35, if you were 60 and just laid off, I want you to also map out a plan about what these next 10 years look like for you, because that's going to be critical. Based on the next job that you will get, and it's going to be very soon, do you plan on job hopping? If you do, what does that look like? Or do you plan on staying in this job for 5 years? And then what does the next 5 years look like? For a lot of you all, I'm not going to say a lateral movement or taking a step back. It's just reevaluating because things are changing and things are different. So what worked 10, 20 years ago, even in marketing, that doesn't work now,
Mhm.
right? The concept or the principle might be the same, connecting people, getting the word out there, but it's how you do it. So I also encourage you, if you are over 40, it's depending on, what industry, get a website and about you. To be honest, these companies, they know that people might not stay 2 or 3 years, but they still want to make sure that you're a people person. They want to make sure that you have, honestly, mid-level computer skills. You do. I want you to get integrated in some AI, use Chat GPT. I need you. I'm going to push this down your throat. Certification. Some of y'all need to get a PMP. Not everybody, but some. You all need to get a data entry. While you're looking, while you're applying, I need you to continue learning because that's the way you grow, okay? Now, Michelle, I have two more questions before I let you go. You help somebody go from 232,000 to 432,000. How did you do that?
Yeah, first of all, it was strategy. Again, you have to look at yourself as the business. When he went about doing this, him and I, we went, again, obviously, this is a C-suite individual that we had to make sure that his resume was right and his LinkedIn was right. We couldn't just jump the gun and say, all right, go ahead, just start sending this information out. So we worked together. It was a lot of coaching that was involved, which is fine. Is nothing wrong. Is nothing wrong getting a coach, guys. Nothing wrong at all. Again, because Cam and I, we coach. We can help you, right? So we were coaching. We were like, okay, exactly. What do you need? And so during that time, he believe it or not, he ended up having to have three different resumes. Okay, because one of the jobs he knew the guy, and the guy said the resume has to say this. Okay, but then the other two jobs that he was interested in, he knew that he couldn't have that language in there. So there's nothing wrong with having a couple of different resumes when people are asking for particular things. Okay, but you do want to have like a foundational resume. So we had a few resumes, and the great thing that happened was he he went ahead and they gave him the job for the one job, and for some reason something happened with the whole company. It was just terrible, right? But the other two jobs he applied for, it's like as you go higher, it's like your world gets a little smaller. They found out about it. The other job hired him in. This was great. So don't put your eggs all in one basket. The other job hired him. He's doing great. I mean, he's doing just like absolutely fantastic. So it did take strategy.
Yeah, it took strategy. And I also think advisement helped because you all are going to need somebody to run this race with you. Michelle, she's definitely open. She can assist people who are entry level, but more of her clients are basically 250,000 and above just because of her experience. And then talk to us about the time you got someone hired at Google.
Yeah, it's the same concept. It's the same concept because Google, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, the higher you go up, they have different strategies that they go through, right? Uh, to get you higher. You have to be prepared for that. And you have to be prepared for the long haul, right? You can't get weary and you can't. You're like, Michelle, I was making a quarter of a million. Yes, I have a nest egg here and there, but my child's in college. And so that's starting to dwindle away. What do I need to do? Again, go for a startup. Again, try that startup. But just like the lady in Google, it was strategy. And then use your contacts, have conversations with people who you're connected to. Google is so big that she also knew people within that space. And the main person who was in that space who she knew, it was like they didn't even work at Google, but her friend of a friend of a friend actually worked at Google. So again, you begin to use your network. Don't be afraid to use your network, especially when people know how fantastic you are. Talk about yourself. Talk about, again, and I'm not talking about I'm talking about your professional self, right? Talk about what you can do, how you can help others. You are the solution to so many corporations' problems. And, Cam and I, we've had this conversation. It's okay when a business say no. It's not personal. They're like, no, we don't need you. No, we don't need you. No, it's okay because there out of all those no's, it's so many other companies that's ready to say yes.
That's excellent. I love that. And I know people can reach out to you on LinkedIn. Your email will also be included. I know you have a busy schedule, but I will tell you this, working with Michelle is very well worth it. She also helped Bert, who was looking, and he had been looking for like 8 months, and then he connected with both of us and got a job. My last question to you is, what advice would you give to somebody that is pivoting right now? Like what's the best way to navigate it?
Like I said before, use your network. Don't be afraid to ask people for help. Don't be afraid to ask people for advice. Have someone take a look at your resume. Have someone take a look at your LinkedIn. Sit and practice. I love one of the things that Cam had stated was you need to learn while you're waiting, right? It's just like a waiter. A waiter, when they're waiting on you, they're not doing nothing. They're making sure, like, okay, the bread is coming out, the food is about to come out. Okay, I gotta, and they're even in their mind, they're like, okay, when I go to the person's table, I gotta take any of the empty dishes off and replace it with something else, and this, that, and the other. So while you're waiting, you're still growing. And one of the things within technology, also what Cam was stating, like you do need to learn AI. AI is hitting every industry because if you don't learn AI, you're going backwards. Don't go backwards, go forward.
I love that, Michelle. Well, you all can connect with Michelle again, like I said, LinkedIn via email, set up a time or call. Um, her prices and her packages, they vary, but the depending on what you want, but her career coaching is stellar. She even did my LinkedIn profile and I got hits immediately. So you all, this has been another, you can call it career office hours. But if you enjoyed it, please like the video on YouTube, subscribe, and I will see you soon. Oh, last thing, if y'all have any suggestions on what y'all want to cover or Michelle she'll be back, then let me know about that too. Okay. All right. Talk to you later. Thank you.